Hey everybody, back with part number 8 of 9 of this subset for the Fantastic Four Galactus set. And going to share this with the page as always so we can get that underway. But bear with me just a second, and then we're going to start right off the bat. Uh-oh. I'm guessing I have this set public. Well, there it is. Okay. Facebook was giving me a little grief about how I wanted to share it. There we go. Okay, cool. Technical difficulties thanks to Facebook. So now we're good. And hey, Miles, I'm going to start knocking this out. And this is going to be, like I said, number 8 of 9. Everybody's been asking me all day, when are you going to do Galactus? I'm going to do it tomorrow. And that's going to be where we knock it all out and finish up this nice subset here. Can you believe it? I've been doing this. Sounds like, when I say it in weeks, it sounds like I'm carrying a kid or something. It's been 16 weeks already this weekend. I am officially at day number 170 today for consecutive live sessions and doing the sketch card of the day. And this is card number 172 in the entire overall set. Can you believe that? That's crazy. That's just over 5.5 months, by the way, if you're doing the math in years, you know, on the annual scale. Just knocking it out. Knocking it out. You guys have been following me that long, and I so appreciate it. You coming on and spending every day with me, and us getting to hang out and do some comic book art. Very cool. I love hanging out here with you guys and doing this. And like I said, as long as you keep coming, I'll keep doing it. But it's up to you. So if you decide you don't want to see it anymore, then that's going to be sad, but it'll be fine because I'll move on to something else. Not that I'm saying that's what I want to do, though. I like doing comics. I like doing marketing. Love it, in fact. It's my gig. It's what I do. But yeah, it's just one of those things, man. You know, I get asked all the time why I would want to do this, and you know, with the market and the condition it is, and whatever. And it's just, man, every market has ups and downs, and if you're not loyal to it in the downswing, you know, it's like being a fan of the Cubs. You know, if you're if you're not going to do it, why bother? You know what I mean? If you're not going to stick with it. So all the Cubs fans just freaked out on me. But no, it's true. It's true. I mean, if you're going to be, don't be loyal just in the good times. Be loyal, period. You know? And make it happen. Make it happen. I like doing this because I get to do these bulk cartoony style dimensions on him, which to me, when I sketched it out, it looked kind of like Jack Kirby there. And I know he based the character off of his own profile, as he did with most every character he drew, except for the ladies, of course. But, you know, that's just one of those things. It resonated a solid image of Jack to me for some reason. Probably because of the stogie sticking out of his face. But, you know, that was Jack's thing. Those cigars. But, I remember somebody asking him one time, are you ever going to quit smoking? It's bad for your health. And he said, yeah, you're bad for my health, causing me stress. I keep the cigar to keep from chewing you out. So He sent that poor kid on. I'm a very angry person. You don't understand. It's crazy. I remember hearing about that, and I just cracked up because I was like, that sounds just like him. But because he liked to play gruff and tough, apparently. But anybody that got the opportunity to meet him knows that he was one of the nicest guys in the world. And like I said, I missed meeting him for his last event at the Coca-Cola Starplex, and I think it was supposed to be in LA afterward that, and they ended up canceling a couple of them because of health reasons and stuff, and he just slowed down, and then it all changed, and then he went away. So yep. But that happens to all of us someday down the line. So no, I'm not going to sing, but just being sarcastic there. But anyway, Ben Grimm, one of my absolute favorite Marvel characters. As a kid, I had this mail order thing that I got out of the back of a comic book. It was the Fantastic Four cereal bowls. And I was a little kid when I got them, and I was just like, yeah. And I remember buying 2 issues of the comic book. I had my mom get me 2 issues because the one she wanted to get out of to cut the coupon out, and you had to send the coupon back in. And I didn't want to cut up the comic books, so I made her buy 2 copies. Even back then, I wanted to collect. So I remember doing that, and it was funny. I can't remember the comic book that it was, but yeah, it busted me up to no end. I was crying and whatnot, and I remember getting all upset about it. And don't get up my comic book for the cereal bowls. So she got me 2 copies instead, and that was the end of that. But I got the Thing, and I got Mr. Fantastic, and because you could only pick 2 unless you had another comic book with the coupon for the others. And that particular one had an orange Thing bowl, and it had a blue Mr. Fantastic with Reed's head on the side of the bowl, and then the bowl for the Thing actually made up the Thing's head. It was just a big rock-shaped bowl, and it was freaking awesome. And that bowl is worth like $400 or $500 now if you have one in good condition. And unfortunately, I don't. We lost it in a fire, apparently, from what I understand. Things like that happen sometimes, I remember that house burning up, but I didn't remember that that was in that house at the time. But it is what it is, Life happens sometimes, and that's the way things go. But sorry. But yeah, I've got the classic plastic sippy cups as well, the coffee cup style mini cups that they did. I got the Thing a few years ago. My mom, again, matter of fact, for Christmas one year, built up a box of stuff, and she found some old collectibles for me, and made a nostalgia box for me, and it was awesome. I have that and a Bad Rock mask, and a couple other things that I won't mention, but because they're collectible and I don't want to brag too much. But the 2 specifics are a Todd McFarlane postcard of Spawn back from 92 or 93, whenever he made that as a campaign, and he was putting Spawn on everything. And then that cup of the Thing with the blue and white on his eyes intact, believe it or not. And that was one of the factors of her getting it. The then beyond that, I had a couple other things in there, and it was just really, really cool. You know, you don't get stuff like that once as an adult, unless you buy yourself that kind of stuff. You really don't, you know, get it often. And that was just an awesome year. I had a health scare, and she got me that box of stuff. So we never told anybody in the family other than, you know, other than immediate people around me, because we didn't want to scare everybody. But, you know, as many of you already know, my baby sister passed away from cancer a couple years ago now, and I had a scare a few years ago. So it turned out just to be a pocket, but you know, I had a little bit of a spook about that. I'm kind of careful about that stuff, but anyway, don't want to turn it all dark all of a sudden. But yeah, the Ben Grimm Thing Cup was one of my favorite possessions, and still is till this day. And I just dig that thing from it's absolutely, like I said, one of my favorite possessions. The character's awesome. He reminds me of Jack Kirby every time I look at him. And just an amazing waste as I'm concerned with Marvel properties right now, because Fox has them, but it is what it is. So I'm just trying to shape this up without doing every individual rock, because I don't want it to look like it's just a big I'm trying to pop out specific ones so they look like they're, different depths and whatnot, and grind that out. And I'm sorry if I'm low energy today. It's just I've been running amok since like 7 a.m. this morning, and I didn't get in bed until almost 3 last night, and it's just I'm a little bit on the tired side because I was posting for my Kickstarter to get it live once Kickstarter approves it, so we can get that going. Not to mention the fact that at about, I don't know, about 9 or 10 o'clock last night, I discovered that I was going through the final look through from Lone Rider to set out the book, and I discovered that there was a page that I didn't ink, that it was missed. Have you ever done that? I mean, seriously, have you ever done that? It happens. I know it does. It's just, good Lord, come on. It's just one of those days where it just caught me by surprise. And I was like, great, I'm going to have to ink that tomorrow. I'm not going to do it at 11 o'clock at night, because I'll be up all night and mess my hours up for posting and the cards and everything that I have to do. And I was just like, no. Of course, that's not the word I said. I was by myself in the studio. But we won't go there. So, but try not to use that kind of language. But in that case, it did occur. I was like, man. I'm going to leave this open here, because normally they have like a couple little, bits and pieces under his nose and whatnot. But I want to leave it open because I don't want to go too far into that. And like I said, I want it to stay dynamic. But I don't want to do every little piece, because then it makes it weird. Because then it changes it to, if you overwork it with a rock, it looks more like a, how do I say this? It looks more like scales, you know, over time, rather than looking like rock and maintaining. You know, like on his eyebrows, you put up smaller pieces because it flexes more, and then you put in smaller pieces on the ridge of his nose because it flexes more, and then fewer pieces because the big lip is more broad scope, so you don't have to worry about that as much. And then you have like the head, which is the solid mass, so you know you can stack and pile those. But whenever you're drawing him, keep it flexible. You know, do different shapes and sizes so that it looks organic, but it doesn't look overwhelmed and overworked. Just kind of catch ridges with shadows once in a while. You know, you don't want to do every one of them. It'll make it look odd. But here we go. We're going to cut in his big blue eyes here. I'm going to make them relaxed so they're wide open. But everybody likes to cut in these funky hardcore pupils and irises, and it makes them look strange. I like to cut in a nice soft pupil and leave the irises open for color. And it tends to give them a little bit more of an edge. Now, whenever you do this across the eyeball, make sure that you tilt from the iris to the pupil over, and then you take it from the eyeball, the outer eye, by itself, and kind of do the Spider-Man dip thing, you know, the double arches or the webbing kind of curve. And the reason you do that is because there's a separate lens right here, because the lens on your eye doesn't go all the way over the white. It only goes around the iris and the pupil. So it's right here is the vision correction tilt on your eye. So be sure and double that over, and it'll make it pop out like that. So I'm going to put in some heavy eyelids because Ben always looks sad. He always looks sad. I like to do that for the undershadow, just to cut it up just a little bit. And the more I do that, the more he looks like Jack Kirby. So whatever works, I guess. Now the stone in his lip makes a natural natural split line that you can draw in very easily in here like this. But again, you don't want to overwork, and you don't want to make it organically. I'm sorry, you do want to make it organic and not make it symmetrical. That's what I was going to. There you go. You want to try and make it more organic and not symmetrical, to where it splits on the opposing side every single step of the way, because then it makes it look weird, and it makes it look like it's cut. And you know, he's got a block lip, and none of this is just, you know, prime asymmetrical shaping, because if you do that, then it doesn't look like rock. It looks like stone cut or line work, to the extent where it was shaped and formed rather than organically bonded. And that's a huge step in the wrong direction, especially with this character. Because if you go doing that, it's going to make it odd, and then he's going to look odd, and then you're going to look odd for doing him that way, and it's going to make you look bad, and it's going to be, oh yeah, it'll be a mess. Don't do it. Don't do it. But remember, have fun with it though, because it's just comics. I said that the other day, and somebody said, hey man, it's not just comics, it's a lifestyle. Well, you know, yeah, okay. You don't have to get bent, but I agree. I agree. It's all right. I find that highly amusing when people do that. They freak out about that stuff, and it's just, come on, relax. Let's have some fun. Draw something. But I hear that a lot in marketing too. People freak out, and it's like, well, what do you do? What do you do to promote your business? Well, it's I don't do market. I don't do the marketing thing. I don't do the marketing thing. And then they misconstrue that the idea is, in marketing, that their passion is marketing. Say we're in comic books, and it's like, I'm in comics. Well, what do you do for marketing for the comics? Well, I don't do that. I'm an artist. I'm just a talent. Well, what do you do to make your money then? How do you promote your books and stuff? Oh, well, I don't do that. I'm just talent. I don't do that. I'm a creative. And then they forget that, you have to do the business side of it to make the money to do what you want to do as the creative. And then they wonder why they're broke. That's part of what I do in comics, is try to teach people how to make business decisions, not just creative decisions. And that's part of what I want to do as far as helping people out. And I get a lot of clients that are comic based clients, and when I ask them, what's your platform, what's your business, the first thing they say is, oh, I create comic books. Well, how do you market your comic books? Well, I don't do that. I post them on my website. I love that. I post them on my website. And not to rap on anybody that doesn't do it. It's not right or wrong. It's just not solid business, in my opinion. And that's okay. I mean, if you're making your go at it and you want to go to cons and make your production that way, and if you're making money at it and making a living at it, more power to you. But a lot of people are starving at these cons and not making any money because of the fact that they're not making anything to sell. Don't go to the Comic Con if you're just going to sell pinups, because you're not going to make a living that way. You're going to break even. So what you're going to do. But like I said, don't get me wrong. I'm not bashing on any of it, and I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that there's a practical way to do business, and most artists don't have that skill set, and that's part of what I teach. I actually lost something like 30 friends last year because of the fact that I told them, they were like, well, why don't you tell me how to make money online? And I was like, okay, I'll tell you how. What do you have to sell? Well, I've got a comic book coming out that I did last year, and no. What have you done this year? What's your marketing funnel and sales program? What approach are you using? What are you selling? What are you putting up for opportunity to buy? Oh, well, I do custom art. Well, you can't do custom art without having a portfolio of some sort. And I mean, yes, you can, but you're not going to get near as many jobs as if you don't have at bare minimum a portfolio stock of stuff you're selling. And if you're a comic artist, you're not a comic artist if you're not making comic books. I'm sorry, that's the cold hard fact of it. If you're not making comic books, you're not a comic artist. If you're not writing comics, you're not a comic writer. You're a writer, yes, but you may not be a comic writer. There's a difference. But I hear that kind of thing all the time, and it cracks me up to no end, because it's just like, man, that's so frustrating. I want to help you, but you're not going to let me. So I like putting these banners or these seal wraps that they have around them on the cigar, especially when Ben's got one, because he normally had that on there for the longest time up until the early 80s. They would always draw him with a cigar that had that on it when he smoked. And it cracks me up because of the fact that nobody put that on. Wolverines wouldn't have one, but Ben's did. And I think that was due in part to a lot of the Jack Kirby influence. which, like I said, just busts me up. I love to think about that stuff because Jack used to go in and just do the Fantastic Four to no end, and then he did X-Men and everybody else as well. But the thing was, whenever you watched him do Fantastic Four, it was a totally different experience than watching him do, a Thor or Spider-Man or a lot of the other characters. I mean, he had a connection with this book like nobody else had, nor had since, except maybe, like I said, Mike Wieringo used to have a killer cartoon style with this book, and I think that he made an impact almost as big as Jack's in that regard, because he revitalized the book where a lot of people weren't reading it anymore. And then when he went off of it, he had a heck of a run. And then when he went off of it, it changed again and kind of hit that default reset to where it went into limbo for a while. And then Fox came back, claimed a bunch of stuff, and then Disney Marvel closed it and stopped the title for a while and put the characters in other books, and did different variations with the Ultimates and whatnot, and it just went downhill from there. But that's one of those things where it's a proud response, to see the work come back from what Jack did on it. That's the reason I collect the essentials, because that was all his work, and I used to love to read those, and I just go through them. I go through them all the time, and read over them and whatnot. And they're the black and white art from Kirby's run and a couple of other creators, but primarily Kirby, at least for the first, I think, 4 volumes. It's nothing but. So, and like I said, don't get me wrong, there's a bunch of other creators that have done wonderful on the book, but Jack's one of the favorites for me. He just did the job. So, but this being said, though, I think I'm going to stop fiddling with this, and we're going to go from here. Let me grab these cards here, and we'll take a glance, because we have Ben here. We have Sue. Let me see. I have the Silver Surfer, Fire Lord, Terrax, Airwalker. There's Johnny. There's Reed. And tomorrow will be Galactus. So we're going to round out the set. We have the first 8 done. I'm going to start inking these tonight, hopefully. And we're going to go from there. So we have Galactus tomorrow, which will be day number 171 and card 173. Can you believe that? Wow. So you guys, thank you very much for hanging out with me as always. And it's the start of a weekend. Tomorrow is Friday, so that's going to be a cool one. And I might even do a giant Galactus piece. If you guys vote on it and you watch this tonight, let me know in the comments. Tell me what you think, because what we may do is I may take it off and go for an 11x17 custom Galactus piece as well. So, but we'll run over that by what you guys vote on. So anyway, thanks for hanging out. Talk to you tomorrow.